What's up, everybody? My name's Gabriele. I'm one of the directors of Skywing World. I'd like to personally welcome all of you to our very first episode of Aviation Talk, where we get to talk to a bunch of pilots, instructors, aviation enthusiasts, pilots in training, like students, basically, people who want to get into the industry, people who already work in the industry, like ramp attendants, customer service agents, and whatnot. We'll be talking about some informative stuff as well as some funny stories they like to share with us from working in the aviation industry. I know I have a few from working there, so stay tuned for that. Today we have a captain of a 787 talking with us about weather. He's a meteorologist from Toronto as well. So he's going to share some insight on the aviation industry and what his thoughts are. And tell us a little bit about his past as a pilot. So stay tuned for that. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. I read all your questions.
Yeah.
Your answers, and I found them quite interesting. So where do I begin? You're a meteorologist.
Yeah. Certified
So
meteorologist. Yeah.
So was that before or after you became a pilot?
I always had my private and commercial license, but back then nothing was happening in the aviation world. So I went back to university and became a meteorologist. So I worked for Environment Canada for 4 years as a forecaster.
Oh, really?
So
Wow.
I have a pretty good background in meteorology.
Okay, so that explains the books then, right?
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. It's my
And
forte.
it's your forte. That's good. So I'm assuming that's why you decided, like you wrote here, it was a niche to be filled, right?
It was a
So,
niche to be filled. Yeah, about 5 to 6 years ago. There was no good weather books out there. Again, think I mentioned this before, but we always consult the Air Command Weather Manual, and that was
mhm,
written 4 decades ago. And
yeah,
yeah, there is a few other books out there, but they just don't carry the weight they should.
yeah. No, well, that's good that you got to write them. I actually have your book because, like I told you, I'm becoming a pilot as well, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah,
which
I refer to it a lot.
the weather book?
The Canadian weather one, the
Okay.
orange cover, the
Yeah,
one
yeah,
we have on our site. But I'm looking forward to this the newest edition that's coming
yeah.
out.
It's
So,
taken a while, a lot of miscommunication. The printer broke down, but we're on course for March 3rd.
oh, okay, cool, awesome, awesome. So, tell me, like, between like the Canadian and American weather regulations, like I'm still kind of like,
Yeah, everyone's perturbed at that. They say, "Well,
yeah,
why, Doug, do you have two weather books, one for Canada, one for the United States?" And it's amazing the subtle differences and big differences between Canadian meteorology and American meteorology. For example, METARs, their observer, the weather observations are done a little differently in the States. They
hmm
have different codes. So a Canadian pilot looking at an American METAR say, "Hey, what does that mean?" And likewise, an American pilot looking at a Canadian METAR say, "Hey, what does that mean?"
hmm
And just the theory, we have different takes on the jet stream. Here in
okay,
Canada, we think a jet stream starts at 60 knots, but in the United States and Britain, they think it's 80 knots. So again, I could write a whole book, and which I did, on the differences.
hmm
And plus, the Americans, they have about 100 more forecasts and products available to the pilot than in Canada.
and that's actually like we were talking about this before, like Skywing, we're really trying to promote the Canadian aviation industry, right? And
Yeah.
like trying to like push out more Canadian content, right? So, when you found us, right? Or did
That's right. I found you, yeah, on Facebook.
on Facebook, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
great.
uh, yeah, it's awesome that you found us because
Yeah.
you fit perfectly for what we're trying to do as well, right? And
Excellent.
it's going really well. So,
Yeah.
um, as a pilot, uh, would you say it would be better to like, okay, for now, for instance, for me, okay, I'm training to become a pilot here in Canada,
Yeah.
right?
Good for you.
Now, if I become a pilot here and fly over the border, how does that work?
Okay, you'll have to get your American licenses, and usually
Okay.
that's not a big event, but it is a bit of a workout. But once you
Okay.
get your American licenses, then you're well on your way.
Okay.
But you also have to have the right to work in the United States, which really means a green card.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big ticket item. But if you get
So
a green card, there'll be a big surge of pilots going to the States.
interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay. So as a Canadian pilot, if I'm flying a Canadian registered aircraft
yeah.
into the States, can I do that, or I would
Oh,
have to go through that whole
yeah,
process?
absolutely. But as long as you're leaving the States too, you can stay there a
Okay.
few days. They're going to ask you how long you're going to be here
Yeah.
for. But yeah, so if you
Okay.
get a house down in Arizona, you could go down there for about 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months, and then you gotta hightail it
That's it.
back.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. So, one of my interns in France, he actually asked. He wrote a good question for it, and
Okay.
this also is to do with kind of like weather, right? Climate change. But what's your opinion on hydrogen fuel?
Hydrogen fuel, yeah, that's it's getting more and more in the media.
Okay.
The company I work for, Air Canada, we were experimenting with biofuels,
Okay.
but this hydrogen fuel, I noticed Airbus is really looking into it,
Yeah,
and
they're
they
really
figure
pushing
they're
it.
going to have something in the next few years with an airplane running on hydrogen. I think
Wow.
uh, we have to change our way of thinking,
Hmm.
and the Stone Age didn't end because they ran out of rock. Something better came along, and I think
Exactly.
that's what we have to do with fuel too.
Okay. Cool. So, now, like with the biofuel, did you fly a plane that had biofuel, or is it still in like kind of
No,
like testing?
it was sort of so
Is in.
supervisors flew the
Oh,
bio
okay.
fuel. Yeah, we're still experimenting with it, but fuel went down so low in price that
Hmm.
everyone backed away from it. But once the fuel starts going up in price, you'll see biofuel mention it more and more. But now
Hmm.
hydrogen's a big ticket item.
Hydrogen. Okay. That's something we're gonna look into, and eventually we'll probably have another conversation about the hydrogen fuel later
Oh,
down later
yeah,
on, right?
yeah.
So, let me see what other questions here. All right. So, as a pilot, like, what important supplies do you carry? Like, what are the most important supplies you carry?
Well, for me as a pilot, good pair of sunglasses. You got to have those cool shades. And as far as the pilot bags, you'll see a lot of guys portaging with a pilot bag, but we used to carry all our charts in those things. Now we don't carry those charts. It's all on an iPad. So the
Hmm.
pilot bags are getting smaller, but I would recommend anyone that's starting off get the uh, soft bags instead of the big rigid flight bags.
So, kind of
Just because
like a laptop
you're
bag,
going to get
right?
in some cockpits that they're not going to fit so well.
Yeah, that's true. So, what planes have you flown in the past?
Well, I have 22 years of Airbus, and then 3 years of Boeing, the Dreamliner. So 25 years at Air Canada. There you go, the Boeing shirt. Good, thank you. And well, you can see behind me, there's a model there, but that's an
It's
Airbus
actually
model.
very nice.
Yeah. But I've also flown Dash 8s and 146s. So I have over 25,000 hours of
Oh
flight.
wow,
Just
very nice.
for your readers, that's equivalent to driving from Toronto to Montreal, back again daily for over 6 years.
Wow,
That's it's a lot of
that's
time.
a crazy way to put it, actually. Wow. So, as a pilot, what's the coolest place you've ever flown to, or like the hardest landing area? Like, I know you
Uh,
were telling me about like Bogota. I think it's like at 8,000 feet
that's right,
above
about
sea level.
8,400 feet above sea level.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of things to deal with down there as well. There's a lot of mountains around. So
Hmm.
you've got to be on the numbers. Because the high elevation, your true airspeed on the approach is a lot higher. It's actually about 15% higher than a
Really?
normal approach, just because the air is so thin. See,
Hmm.
that's the kind of stuff you got to be watching in Bogota. The neatest airport to fly into at night is Vegas. Looks like you're
Oh, okay.
flying into you know, a, a light show. That's neat. The most challenging airport in our system is St. John's, Newfoundland, on the east coast of Canada.
Oh, really? And what's
Yeah,
that?
it's called Torbay because it's in the area of Torbay of St. John's. and it is the most challenging airport any pilot will admit to because of the high winds,
Okay.
poor visibility, and then you get so much freezing precipitation. It's the cloudiest, second rainiest, windiest city in Canada.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So when you come in for an approach like that,
Yeah,
do you usually use like I'm assuming you use ILS, right? They
that's
have
right.
ILS built in, right?
ILS on most of the runways, and finally, about 3 years, they upgraded to a Category 3 approach,
Okay.
meaning Autoland. But for the foggiest place in the planet, Grand Banks, St. John's, Newfoundland, that yeah, they just brought on the Autoland system 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, they did have Cat 2 approaches, but now they're up to Cat 3 approaches,
Oh, I see.
and they
Okay.
need it.
So when you say Autoland,
Yeah, you just arm the approach, tell it the airplane in sort of coded procedures, land this thing automatically, and all you do is wait for the bump.
and you just wait for the bump and you just hold
Wait for the
on,
bump.
right?
That's it. You don't look out. You just have 100% confidence on your instruments that it's going to take you where you want to go.
So how long does that take to get used to? It's kind of like driving a Tesla with no
That's
hands.
it.
It's on
Yeah,
autopilot, right?
that's a good analogy. And the captain flies the approach because I'll be taking it over on the runway. So in low visibility approaches, the captain flies these approaches.
Yeah.
The the aircrew has to be certified, the airplane has to be certified, and the airport has to be certified. So there's three criteria in order to do a full ILS Cat 3 approach.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's only a few airports in Canada that have ILS Cat 3 capability. St. John's now, Montreal, and Toronto, and then Calgary just got some. Actually, Vancouver's got it now too.
Oh,
So
okay.
more and
Great.
more airports are coming online.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It shows that the airports here are growing a little more, right?
Absolutely. And
In
that's
class. Sorry, go on.
that's the great thing about Toronto Pearson. Every runway has got an ILS approach,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Now, can you fly an ILS with a Cessna?
Oh, yes, you can.
You
So
can.
when you get your training, you're going to go out and maybe shoot an approach. We call it an ILS approach. And I don't think you'll be shooting an approach into Pearson, but yeah, you can fly. If
Yeah.
you got equipment on board, you can fly an ILS, and it's really neat thing to see. To be under the hood, you're going to be under the hood. You won't be able to see outside, and just watch your instruments, the crosshairs they call it.
Yep.
Bring it right down to the runway.
Wow. That's gonna be
Yeah, that's cool.
an adrenaline rush
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, that's cool.
So when I was sending you some questions, I wanted to know like what things you could change in aviation, and you said a lot of rumors that were out.
Yeah. A lot of pilot wannabes think that, oh, I can't be a pilot because I have kind of poor eyesight. That's an urban myth. You can wear glasses. Actually, hearing is more important than eyesight. Also, a lot of pilots think, oh, I have to have a university degree. Not so. The actual bare minimum qualification for a pilot is the fact you need to read. If you can read, you can go up and take flying lessons. And a lot of people think, oh, I need to be, Ace McCool, and the best of the best. But as far as medical conditions, you can even be a diabetic now and become a pilot. The big thing is, I suggest anyone that wants to be a pilot is go and get a pilot medical, and just to see what you're up against. The biggest thing that a lot of pilot wannabes find out is that they're colorblind. About 6% of males have suffered from colorblindness. But even then, don't even let that go, because I know one pilot, he was deemed colorblind, and now he's captain on the 380 at Emirates.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he made it.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
good. So there is a chance.
Yeah, there
I have
is
my camera over here, and I'm looking at
Okay.
kind of going back.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool. So, yeah, no, that was actually one of my biggest fears, just because I have glasses, right?
Yeah.
So everybody was saying you can't fly because
Oh,
whatever.
urban
Is
urban
is
myth.
is that true for maybe like military pilots? Maybe.
It was true for the military pilots, but because they were so hungry for pilots themselves, they've relaxed on their restrictions too. I don't know them exactly, but I know they've relaxed on restrictions.
Oh,
So
okay.
if that's one route you're thinking about, then yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be challenging them.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a cool thing to do, especially if you fly for RCAF. You know, like the Royal Canadian Air Force. I've seen the C-130 land quite a bit actually when I was working at Billy Bishop. So it was a really cool sight to see. You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but speaking of Billy Bishop, actually, okay, I saw that you had a funny story, and you're actually coming out with a new book called "This Is Your Captain Speaking."
Yeah, this is your captain speaking. And you know what? It should have been out now,
Oh, okay.
but we decided, the publisher and I decided that it's not a good time to bring out an aviation book because of COVID. So we're going to wait until late summer, early fall,
Okay.
and it'll be coming out. It'll be to the sequel to my very first book, From the Flight Deck.
Oh.
Yeah, this one was predicated on a flight from Toronto to Hong Kong, flying the Airbus 340.
Hmm.
But yeah, so this is your captain speaking will be an A to Z of not meteorology, but of aviation.
Of
But
aviation.
basically a
Okay.
question and answer type theme.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So how many books have you written so far? Like
It'll be 4 books. And
four
then with
books.
Canadian Aviation Weather, third edition. So I guess 6 books.
Six.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Wow,
Yeah.
that's impressive. So, when you're talking about this as your captain speaking, was this the story you were telling me? You could also reiterate the story because I kind of want to hear it.
Yeah.
Was that you as the ramp attendant?
Oh, the ramp attendant? No, that was just a story someone told me when we were in another recession.
Okay.
Things weren't going too well, and yeah, I always chuckle at that story. Yeah,
Yeah.
the story is basically there was a pilot wanted to be. The only job he could get at an airport was changing the toilets or emptying the toilets in an airplane, called a lavologist. And so he was servicing one of these airplanes one day, and the hose goes up to the belly of the airplane, and the hose disconnected, and all the human waste fell all over him and all over the ground. And then there was a pilot doing his walk around, and the guy that had all the human waste all over him, he was cussing and swearing and all that. And the pilot doing the walk around said, "Well, why don't you just quit?" And the pilot wannabe said, "What? And give up aviation?" I thought it was funny. Yeah.
Do you know if you became a pilot after though?
I don't know. No, that's a good one.
You know
But
what though? I've experienced something like that working as a ramp attendant at Porter. Exactly the same thing, actually. Maybe not as bad as what you were saying, but yeah, I've had a lav dump on me before too, right?
well, if you can persevere that, then you can persevere the ups and downs of aviation.
Yeah, yeah. It was a bit of a shitty situation if you want to put it that way.
That's it. Yeah.
But
Good.
it's all good, yeah, you know. But what are your plans for the next week? And do you know what your schedule's like when you start flying
Yeah,
again?
I'm going to go to Montreal.
Okay.
I'm going to just do a turn next Friday. But
Nice. Okay.
as you know, I'm back in school taking my master's at Purdue University. So
Mhm.
I've got 2 courses on the go now. So this will mean I'll be halfway finished my master's.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that means how many more years you got?
I'll be finished this time next year. I'll
This
have my
time next year.
master's.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure if I'll do my PhD or not. But I
Hey.
just want, after retirement, I want to teach.
Hmm.
And I need my master's.
Hmm. And will you be teaching? Like exactly.
I
What
would
will you?
love to teach meteorology,
Okay.
but there's only a few selected places here in Canada to do that. So I'll probably have to go stateside.
Stateside. Okay. So you're moving
A
around. That's
a
good.
nice warm climate.
Hey, you know what? That would be amazing.
Yeah,
That'd actually be
yeah,
that would be really
yeah. It would be a good
really
gig.
fun. Yeah, exactly. You know, I actually bringing up like going back to like what you were saying about working in the States with the green card and stuff.
Yep.
So you know, you don't necessarily need to have a green card to work in the States. Like if you're flying a Canadian aircraft into the States, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, you can only be down there a certain amount of time, I think.
Yeah.
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 then there would be eyebrows being, raising
Raised.
because of, hey, what are you doing down here with a
Yeah.
Canadian registered airplane? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm assuming that'll also go for if you're flying from, you know, Canada to Europe or anywhere else in the world. You
Yeah.
need to make sure that okay.
Yeah.
That's good for me too because I think I was telling you I kind of want to fly for FedEx, right?
Okay.
But the only issue is apparently I'm not sure if this is true or not, but the FedEx aircrafts are not Canadian registered aircrafts, so the
No,
MD-11s.
I assume they'd be all American registered, but that
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
matter. If they hire you, then you can fly on any registered airplane.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, you go to Emirates, and it'll be, those airplanes are all registered in the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay, well
yeah,
that's good. Just because like I know some people who want to fly for United Airlines, right?
yeah.
And they kind of got a little um upset that they couldn't fly for the United Airlines just because they had to go through all the green card processing and stuff. So
Uh,
even if they apply, they could still there is still a chance
oh,
basically.
absolutely. And in
Exactly.
fact,
It's
that was pre-COVID. That was one of our biggest scares that with my company was because the Americans were hiring so much, they were looking north into Canada saying, hey, there's a lot of pilots up there. We're going to start recruiting them. So
mhm.
we thought we were going to lose a lot of pilots, but that didn't happen.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing, right,
Uh,
for us.
and the pay in the States, once you get established, it's that much more.
Yeah.
And plus, I know you're comparing American and Canadian dollars, but the pay is more
The pay is more.
overall.
We'll see. We'll see if I want to fly for Canadian or
Yeah.
American. Maybe even an Italian airline. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
European. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whatever, you got to
Yeah.
get going now, get your qualifications,
Exactly.
because I really think we're going to be in an upswing, and then that's when you
Mm.
got to jump on board.
Now, are there any last minute remarks that you want to say to people watching this?
Well, as far as aviation,
Hmm.
uh, you don't get in the stock market when the stocks are low, or actually you
Hmm.
do. Sorry, you don't get in the stock market when the stocks are high. You get in
Yeah.
when it's low, and right now we're at the bottom of the trough. We're in a low period, but I really think that aviation is going to have an upswing. There's still a lot of guys retiring. Look at me, I'm going to be gone in 2 years. So there's going to be positions opening up. We already see the trend now in the United States that things are opening up. So it's going to happen here in Canada. It's just going to maybe take a little longer than everyone thought. That's it.
Hmm.
And yeah, and everyone learn meteorology. It'll save your life.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
I will definitely take that in
yeah,
consideration. Definitely, especially when when I fly, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because
That's it.
I didn't realize how crazy it is when you're actually taking off and you're going through all like the
The
air
layers.
pockets and the
Yeah,
layers. It's
mhm,
just
yeah.
crazy.
It's
Yeah.
an eye
So
opener.
yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Doug. I
Okay.
appreciate the call.
Yeah.